back. Don't forget to come see us. Get that Eventbrite app. Search the Jason Show and pick a day. Please, only pick a day where you can be here. Well, welcome back to the show. Our guest today has an unusual hobby. She loves to read obituaries. And thank you, Aaron, for clapping for that. That's right, yeah. And a few years ago, she decided to take that passion to TikTok, where she shares some of her favorites, including one about a woman named Maureen. Watch this.
There was a brief period of 2 years from 84 to 86 when Maureen had some money and some peace. After she won $58,000 as a champion on a game show, she went on to become a grand champion and competed in Australia, where she swindled the other competitors out of their wallets and ran from the police for 6 weeks with 2 of her children in tow. Between 1980 and 2010, Maureen was arrested in London, Paris, Vermont, Texas, South Carolina, Kentucky, New Hampshire, Florida, California, and New York. She talked her way out of jail most of the time, but did serve time in both federal and local prisons, where she painted pictures of flowers, sent letters to her children, complained about the food and the guards, and showed no remorse. In fact, she considered that stealing from insurance companies and defrauding people and writing bad checks was really a victimless crime.
That is a life well lived. That's right, yeah. Mary McGreevy runs a popular TikTok page, Tips from Dead People, which is filled, as you can imagine, with funny, poignant, and sometimes shocking stories. Audience, please welcome Mary McGreevy.
Hi, Jason.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Question number one, where, I know my hobby of television started at my grandpa's, watching Johnny. Where did your obituary love start? A phrase question. I've never said on television before.
I can imagine. I get that question a lot. It's admittedly a very unusual hobby, but I heard someone clap out here.
It was Aaron.
Fans.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Aaron. Okay. Obituary fans, no. So my mom was the obituary writer for my hometown newspaper, briefly. And that was when I was a kid. And I think I just started paying attention. This was in South Dakota. I remember reading obituaries that felt poignant, or ones where I was kind of reading between the lines to say, this feels like an interesting person, but it's not reflected in the obituary. Like I remember thinking those things as a kid. Then all through adult life, I've moved around to a bunch of different cities. I started collecting obituaries that meant something to me. Didn't really know why. Wasn't really sure I was going to do anything with them. And then a couple years ago, I was kind of looking for a creative project. I'm not a crafter. I don't do anything like that.
You don't make sourdough?
No, not exactly. But I pulled out this folder of obituaries that I'd collected over the years, and I talked to my daughters, who are all in their 20s. And I said, if I was going to share some of these and share what they meant to me, why I've held on to these all these years, what's the best platform? And they immediately said TikTok. You can be kind of messy on that platform. It's not hard to get up and running. And I thought maybe it would just be me and 2 or 3 other weirdos. Honestly, I wasn't doing
2 or 3 other obituary weirdos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it to grow an audience. I was doing it because it felt like an interesting creative project for me. And then as these things happen, a couple of the videos started popping, and then TikTok kind of puts you on a faster highway. And then it just grew, and now I think there's 166,000 followers, and from all over the world. And people message me all the time to say that the stories that you're pulling and the lessons that you're pulling from them, it's not just a cliche. These are changing our lives. So
because of the lessons within the obituaries.
Yes, because everybody loves the story of non-famous rogues and people with troubled pasts who overcome them, and funny ones and savage ones and poignant and bittersweet. They're all over the map, and it just tells you something about the kind of storytelling that people crave.
Have you ever been contacted in the comments? Because I was going to ask you what the reception has been, but I'll expand on that and ask, have you ever been in the comments, anyone in the comments that's been related or attached to somebody in the obituary that you are reading or highlighting?
Absolutely. When I first started doing this, I was just reading obituaries that I myself had collected. But pretty quickly after the first couple videos went, viral, whatever that means these days,
Right,
people started sending me. So now probably 30 a week, people are sending me obituaries that they've either written, are of their family members, or they saw in their hometown. And so, yeah, a couple times I have had people send me an obituary that said, I didn't know this person, but this is a great one, and I'll share it. I'll share part of it. And then the relative of that person will pop into the comments and say, that was my grandma, and here's her recipe for chess pie, or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
Speaking of your mother, and correct me if your mother was the writer of the obituaries.
Correct.
What did you get from her? Your knowledge, your vast knowledge, what makes a good, Mary, here's another question I've never asked in my life. What makes a great obituary?
Happy to serve. First of all, don't Google how to write an obituary, because what you're going to get is, it's absolutely the truth. What you will get is templates of how people have always done it in the past. Education, awards, cliches like never met a stranger, that kind of thing. Instead, I always say that the little things are the big things. That's one of the top things that I've learned. No one's going to die thinking about their award for management. I mean, go deep. Talk about the things that people loved and they hated. And if that's the only thing that you can get in an obituary, that's enough, because the stories flow from there.
Because no one, and we got to go, we'll be back with more with Mary, because no one, that just struck me, because if I'm reading anybody's obituary, I'm not going to remember the list of grandchildren. No offense to the grandchildren. I don't care about little Timmy. You know what I mean? No offense.
Right.
But if she has a funny story about her life when she, put her mouth under an ice cream machine or something, I'm going to remember that. Yeah.
Yes, put the pickle juice, jalapeno, Diet Coke in the obituary.
That's right.
Leave out the LinkedIn stuff.
I'll have Fallon write mine. We'll be right back. More with Mary right after this. It's true. Because it's the same philosophy when people talk about.
Let's make it.
We're back. Back with Mary McGreevy from the TikTok account, Tips from Dead People. Great. I mean, call it what it is. Have obits changed, like modern obits? Are you seeing, again, here's another question is there a trend in obits, Mary?
There is, and actually I hope I'm helping with that. I hope that my little account is helping people to set aside the templates, set aside an obituary that could have been pulled from, God forbid, LinkedIn.
Or AI.
Exactly, and just dig in on the little details. In fact, your pickle jalapeno Coke thing, I read an obituary recently of a woman whose sole obituary, the content was all about her taste testing of Coke over the years. Classic Coke in a bottle, that's what she concluded. But I mean, I would rather read that any day than a classic, templated obituary. But also, I think part of the thing is that in the past, they were only in the newspapers, which, as you know, are very expensive. So now that there's more free sites online and other ways to publish, people can get a little bit more expansive, which I completely support.
This account is obviously helping other people, but you were telling me in the break, it's also, this is such a cliche, but it's changed your life too.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a gimmick for sure, reading obituaries and pulling life hacks out of them. But the heart of it is that it has changed me and my brain. I'm someone who has always tried to achieve. I've been concerned about awards. I come from a family of high achievers. The way that these stories are told, there's redemption arcs, there's what people think of as failures, but they have a next chapter. And the importance of these little things. I've read obituaries of very accomplished people who clearly weren't well loved, and conversely, I've read obituaries and shared online of people who they're never going to be famous, but you would measure their life as a success in any way because of how the little things that they mention in the obituaries. So that's changed my brain. Let's
run. We have a little bit of one of your posts. This is about Renee. Anything we need to know, or does it stand for itself?
She stands for herself, absolutely.
Let's take a look.
Renee didn't cook, she didn't clean, and she was lousy with money too. Here's what Renee was great at: dyeing her red roots, weekly manicures, dirty jokes, pier fishing, rolling joints, and buying dirty magazines. She's survived by her favorite son, the gay one who writes catty obituaries in his spare time. Bye, Mommy. We loved you to bits.
Written only like a gay son could. Exactly. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these are people who are loved not despite their flaws, but because of them. And you don't often see that in obituaries. And if I can help through humor or sweetness, if I can help change that in the world, my job is done. This is the best hobby in the world.
Oh, let me tell you, when Bjorn brought this up and brought this to us, I decided this is so fascinating because you can learn a lot from these things.
Absolutely. And here's an interesting thing. I can tell from all my followers that they are left, right, red, blue, all over the map politically, and yet everybody loves the story of an underdog. People give grace at the end of life to a good story well told, even if it's not someone that you would have maybe gotten along with in life.
It's a good lesson, especially right now. Give it up for Mary McGreevy, everybody. For more stories, you can follow her on TikTok. Just search for Tips from Dead People. We're opening up the mailbag when we come back. We'll be right back. Thank you, Mary.